friends. Welcome back to Dare Me to Prosper. My name is Avery, and this is episode 44. And I'm actually in a good mood today. So, contrary to my last episode where I was coming to you real and raw and just kind of depressed, I'm feeling much better today, and there's good reason for it. And I kind of want to talk about it because this is really this whole situation that I've been going through. I think a lot of other people are sort of going through, and I think it's just a good topic for today. You guys always know that I try to always come to the podcast from a place of this is what I'm going through right now. I'm learning with you. I'm growing with you. And I don't know if anybody else has ever felt like this, but sometimes do you ever see people who've reached a certain level of success or they've done something really incredible that other people also want to accomplish, but they always tell you about that stuff after they've done it. They're always like, here, look what I did. Just do what I did, and here I am, and I used to be this, and I used to be struggling, and I used to be in this position, and look at me now. And that's great. But I always kind of look at those people and go, I wish I could resonate more with you while you were going through it. Nobody talks about building the success while they're going through it and the struggle and the process. Everybody always comes to you after they've achieved the success, which makes sense, right? Because that feels like proof. It feels like, oh, I can prove to you now that all the steps that I took worked. And so now I can turn around and talk about it or teach you about it. But I always kind of felt like there is a genre missing of people talking about building success while they're in it, and not being afraid to maybe not have the full proof yet and just kind of come to you from a place of I have faith that this is going to work and I'm in a process of building something and I want to share that with you now while I'm still going through it without the proof, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that more where you're still working on it. You're not arrived yet. And so the topic that I want to cover today is about manifestation versus astrology. And this is something I have really been learning really the past few years, but it's really fresh of mind lately and it's really affecting me a lot right now. And I think it's important. And it's basically about how how astrology overrides your manifestations and how there's so many of us trying to manifest things, right? And trying to work on our emotional health, our frequency, our state of being, because we're trying to manifest or bring things into our life, but we completely ignore the astrology, which really it's you can manifest all day. If the astrology isn't aligned, you are not going to get what you are asking for. And so I want to dive into that today because it's very relevant to me right now. And it's honestly relevant to everyone right now. It's just that some of us are paying attention and some of us are not. But understanding this topic, I think, will make you feel a lot better. And then if you go to actually dig into your own astrology and your placements and your birth chart, it will give you so much insight into your path and what's coming and when, what years you might see a lot more progress and a lot more growth or a lot more ease come into your life, so that you're not spinning your wheels constantly being when is it going to be my turn? When is it going to be my turn? Astrology is the tool that tells you when it will be your turn. So ideally, I've been looking for a long time. I've been looking for an astrologer to come on the podcast that I resonate with, that I feel would be a really good fit. And for the life of me, I cannot find one, or the ones that I, am trying to get a hold of, I can't get a hold of them. And so if you have any suggestions of astrologers that you really resonate with or who feel like a good fit, let me know. I would love to find somebody because I'm picky. I'm picky about people that I will have on the podcast. And I really want to find someone to go deeper into this topic with, because I am not an astrologer. I know very little. And yet I recognize how insanely important this topic is. So I'm going to talk about it from a broad point, but obviously, digging into your own chart and your own astrology placements will give you a lot more insight. Okay, so the biggest pain point around manifestation, right, is that so many of us are trying to manifest our dream lives, these relationships, this income, this career, this mindset, this a home, whatever it is. We are trying so hard to manifest it with our intentions and manifest it with our actions. And a lot of times, and I've been here, you feel like you're doing everything right. Like you feel like I am doing everything I know how to do. I am meditating, I'm visualizing, I am trying to hold my frequency in a positive place. I'm trying not to cling to it. I'm trying, I'm writing things down. I'm doing all the work in the 3D. Like, what am I doing wrong? I've been working on this for years. Why can't I manifest the things that are important to me? And this is not because you're doing it wrong, but there is that one part of it that so many of us ignore. I think there's just not enough people talking about this. But there's another layer to manifestation that is more important, and that is the timing and the energy cycles that are governed by astrology. So it's kind of like manifestation is the seed. Like if you were to plant something, manifestation is the seed and the plant, but astrology is like the soil it's in and that layer that allows the seed to sprout and come through. You can plant a seed, you can water it all day, you can put it in the sunlight, you can do all the right things that you're supposed to do. But if the soil is not fertile, if the soil is not compatible or it's not the right time of year or whatever it is, the plant will not sprout. It's like if you take a seed and you plant it in a bucket of sand instead of some fertile soil, right? You have all the right ingredients. You have the seed, you have the water, you have the sunshine, but what you planted it in is not compatible. And in terms of astrology versus manifestation, this is the part you don't get to control, right? Manifestation, you can control your actions, you can control your mindset, your intentions, what you're doing, your energy. You cannot control the astrology and the astrological placements. But what you can do is learn them, understand the planets, understand the placements, understand the seasons, and then you can see what is coming. You can look months and years ahead and look at your own chart and see, oh, that season, that's going to be a really big season for relationships or meeting a new person in my life. This year, this is a really big year of closing out karmic cycles and starting a whole new journey in my life. This year or this month, my family life is really highlighted, or there's a really good possibility that I could move based on the energy in this particular month and things like that. And so really, I hope this episode is encouraging because this episode is really going to give you the reason why manifestation is not the problem. The timing is the problem. And I know that's almost bad news because it's very frustrating to feel like, great, I don't have control over that at all. So, if I want a new relationship, I just have to wait on the timing. Yeah, that part kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. But the good news is when you understand the astrology and you understand why things are either working or not working, it kind of gives you peace of mind to be like, okay, I'm not doing something wrong. It's just not the right time yet. You know what I mean? It's like, I really want to take a vacation and go to Hawaii, but I'm not going to do it, during, I don't know, monsoon season. Does Hawaii even have a monsoon season? I don't know. But, it's kind of like, even if you wanted to go on vacation right now, it's not the best time. It's not the best time to go right now. We're going to wait until the most optimal season, the best time to go. And that way it works out better because the stage is set. Everything is set up correctly. What you manifest will manifest so much better because you waited for the correct season. You waited for the correct timing. If you try to force it, either you'll be blocked or it'll be delayed, or maybe you'll manifest it or partially manifest it, but it won't stick. You'll lose it just as quickly because the soil wasn't fertile. The timing wasn't right. I feel like I'm yelling. Let me take this down a notch. So basically, manifestation is like your active work, the part that you have control over, your intention, your alignment, your emotional healing, your nervous system regulation. That's a big one. And your clarity around what you want. And the astrology is the soil, the timing, the window, the open door. Astrology is like the cosmic climate and the seasonal timing for your manifestation. And here's the important part. You're never going to be left without a window or a door. You're never going to be left without any season to manifest what you want. You will always have the opportunity of a perfect season for what you want, but you need to be ready for it. And every astrological season opens up certain doors for specific types of energy to enter your life. So whether it's financial abundance, whether it's relationships, whether it's a career breakthrough, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's cutting old relationships out of your life that don't align with you anymore. And the good news is, if you know these seasons are coming, you can look ahead and be like, okay, I know I need to focus on this aspect of my life in this season because the energy is going to support that. And my chances of success are so much higher if I'm prepared and I come into this season ready. But when you don't align those cycles, manifestation feels blocked. It feels delayed. It feels unsatisfying, or like you're doing something wrong because the energetic support is not there. Is this making sense so far? Okay. And I am going to get into the more personal, like what I was mentioning in the beginning about, I'm going to share with you about being in the nitty-gritty now, like before I find success, before I make it, quote unquote, because I have a feeling that that's what many of us can relate to. And I have always wished that I could hear someone's perspective from the middle, like from the mess, and not just at the end of the journey. So we are going to get there. But first, if you are not super familiar with astrology, and let me tell you, I am not super familiar with astrology. I do my best. I learn little by little. It's very overwhelming, at least to me. There is just so much going on. There's so many words that mean different things, and all the planets and all the placements and all, like, it's a lot. I don't think it's something you learn super quickly. It's kind of like a second language. Like, there's just so much there. I learn a little bit more every year, and so it's a slow trajectory. I do have a book, and I would recommend it. It's called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. I'll link it in the show notes. Actually, it's already linked. If you go down to the bottom under my favorite tools, that's like an Amazon list of all my favorite spiritual books and tools and things. So it's already there. Go look there. But I read that when I can. I really try to take in little by little and just listening to astrologers and things like that. But essentially, astrology is kind of like a map of the energetic cycles that influence us on Earth. It's the placement of the planets, specifically your birth chart is like where all the planets were at the time of your birth, at the day of your birth, the time of your birth, and the place of your birth, like your birth city. I know not everybody knows the time of their birth, and honestly, my mom really didn't even know mine. She was like, it's like in the evening around this time, and I was kind of in between two rising signs because your birth time is what defines your rising sign. And I had to just kind of study both until I figured out, like, okay, this is definitely my rising sign. The other one just doesn't make sense. So I know not everybody has the luxury of knowing their birth time, but if you can get close, that's better than nothing. So anyway, there's your particular birth chart, which can tell you kind of what's going on for you personally in any given month, any given year, any given week, what have you. And then there's like collective energies where whatever is happening right now on the planet affects everyone in a collective way. And then it affects people in an individual way based on where your planets are. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the overlapping of, you will always carry this signature of whenever you were born, wherever you were born, whatever time you were born, you have this permanent signature of like pieces of you, puzzle pieces of you that make up your personality and things that you struggle with or things that you're good at and all sorts of aspects of your life. And then the planets are constantly like moving, the stars are moving, everything is moving, right? So as those move, it's kind of like those two different, where things are now and where they were when you were born, those energies are constantly interacting with each other. I hope that makes sense. Every planet, every sign, and every aspect creates different energies. So they create these waves of energy that hit us here on Earth, and these kind of come in like seasons. And every planet represents different energies. Like Mercury really affects our communication and our understanding of things, and Jupiter really affects our, abundance and our luck and our expansion and our income, or it can be a lot of different things. And I almost don't want to say too much because, again, I'm not an astrologer, but every planet affects different aspects of your life. And when it's in different houses or different signs, it affects different parts of your life based on that as well. So like I said, it's very in-depth. This is not for me to go into. But as the planets, as the stars, as the things, everything rotates, it's kind of like they're causing these energetic seasons, both for us as a collective and for you individually. So you are moving in and out of seasons that affect different aspects of your life, probably without even knowing it or recognizing it. And so the universe operates with these energetic laws that are affecting us. It's not just your willpower and that's it. It's like, yes, you have free will and you have your willpower and you have your manifestations. That's like your inner world that you have control over. But then universally, we have all of these energies circulating us and coming to us from, different aspects, different perspectives, and those are also heavily, heavily affecting us. And we, with our internal energy, cannot override the external energy. Does that make sense? And so it's like we can do all we want all day, but until that window opens up, until that door opens up where what we want is aligning with the correct outer energy, that's when things really actually manifest. So going back to the seed and how the seed is your manifestation and the soil is astrology. Astrology basically tells you when the soil is going to be at its most optimal time. So it's like, when to plant it, or the best timing so that your seed isn't just like sitting in soil that's not doing anything for it. Looking at the astrology lets you know, okay, this is the best time to focus on this energy. That's when the door opens and what you're looking to manifest can actually come through. So it's like, that's why they say not to sign any contracts during a Mercury retrograde, because it can create delays in communications and contracts, because the planet that rules communication is moving backwards, or appearing to move backwards, or whatever it is. See, I don't know. It messes up the energy, basically, versus something like a Venus transit can enhance love and abundance energy. So that is a good time for relationships. So you still want to do the work, right? You still want to do the manifestation work, because you still want to prep your plant, your seed. You still want to prep the energy. You want to have done all of the internal work to manifest the love or the money or whatever it is. You just need to know and be prepared that the cosmic energy has to align for it. So don't give up. Like, if you've been struggling with something in your life that you have just really been hoping and longing and putting in all this work towards, and it's just not working, it's very likely that you have not hit the right season yet. And the reason that it works this way, the reason that we are, I hate to say, but like almost not allowed to manifest things just whenever we want, and we kind of have to wait for the right timing, is because these astrological placements are part of our growth. Like, every time we go through a season, it's kind of like we're moving through certain lessons, or at least we have the opportunity to move through certain lessons. So it's like, I might be moving through a lesson around finances where I'm supposed to really look at my scarcity mindset and really heal that aspect. And all of the energy is really pressuring me to do that, pressuring me to heal those mindsets, and pressuring me to heal my childhood wounds around money or whatever it is. So if I'm just focused on trying to manifest money in that moment, but I haven't actually healed the wounds underneath, I'm not gonna be prepared when the window does open up to actually manifest those things. I need to do the internal work. So when I'm presented with the season that supports the healing, after that, when the window actually opens to manifest the abundance, to manifest the income, I'm prepared for it. It's basically, you're getting the opportunity to align your personal effort with the energy cycles, and that maximizes your results. And the way astrology works is the universe doesn't allow you to manifest things before they would stick. It doesn't allow you to manifest the things before the energy is aligned, because it wouldn't work. You have to go through the certain things. And this is so random, but I love like signs and synchronicities. And my phone was sitting next to me just now, and as I'm talking, it just like shut off. It just restarted for some reason. I didn't touch it. I didn't do anything. And it just came back on, and it's 111. It's 111 as my phone restarted itself. Take it or leave it. But when stuff like that happens, that just feels so random or out of the blue, I kind of take it as a little like nudge, be like, look at this little synchronicity here. It's like something just restarted. It shut down, it came back on, and when it came up, the timing was perfect, right? It's 111. My phone shut down, it restarted without me doing anything, and when it came back, the timing was perfect, right? Anyway, that was so funny. My battery is not even low or anything. I don't know what just happened, but love that little synchronicity and sign for us. Now, there's two parts. So let's talk about like when we're actually moving through these seasons, like say we're not at the manifestation open door yet, right? We're going through a season like I've been, for example, over the last few years, where all of the things that I've been trying to manifest for years and years did not come. Like, I have tried, I cannot tell you like how many times I have started businesses over the years, how much internal work I've done around relationships, around my own emotions. And for years and years, it just felt like nothing was getting better. It wasn't getting better. It's not like it wasn't getting better. It actually wasn't getting any better. But what was happening was under the surface, I was changing. I was learning. I was doing the inner work. I was changing how I dealt with things. I was healing old wounds. I was healing my inner child. I was doing lots of meditation, lots of like self-aware deep diving into different struggles that I had or past trauma that I had. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It has not been fun. It has not been a fun time. However, if I were trying to manifest things without doing this work, it would not work. And for me personally, and my birth chart, I have a long history, a long cycle that is wrapping up now of karmic cycles, where basically, again, not an astrologer, but I've done a lot of research, especially in my own particular birth chart, of course. But what I have found was that if you really boil it down and simplify everything, what my birth chart says, essentially, without oversimplifying it too much, is that the first half of my life is difficult. The first half of my life is lessons and struggle and learning and, emotional deep diving and karma and blah, blah, blah. The second half of my life is meant to see much more ease, better relationships, better finances, stepping into my career, abundance, all of the good things. And there, of course, it's not like everything behind me is horrible and everything in front of me is perfect. There's ups and downs through every part of your life. But if I'm to oversimplify, that's kind of what it looks like for me. And so what is coming up for me personally is I'm about to open this door, according to the astrology, I'm about to open this door into abundance in my career, into much happier, healthier romantic relationships, into the career and what I've been building in my voice and, this podcast and all of the things that I've been working on for so long. It's like the door hasn't been open yet. I've just been building behind the scenes. I've just been working on everything behind the scenes and, doing it even when no one was listening and doing it even when I didn't feel like it and doing it when my life was falling apart and I'm going through a divorce and I'm sad. I still showed up, right? Because I actually do love it and I love being here. And two, because this feels so purposeful to me. And again, my astrology backs this up. Me having a podcast is written all over my birth chart. Not a podcast specifically, but using my voice to help heal the collective, using my voice to transmute and communicate messages that people need to hear that help them heal, that helped me heal. I had to do a lot of healing looking back so that I could turn around and help other people heal who are going through similar things or different things, but just need to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is very much like my passion, my purpose, and what I believe I am here to do in large part. And so what I, kind of wanted to touch on was this idea that I'm not coming to you from the point of I made it. I am making millions of dollars and I have the relationship and I have all these things and my life is fantastic and great. And now I can turn around and tell you all the things that I did. Because for so long, I have craved someone to say, I'm in the middle of it and I'm building something fantastic. This is what my life looks like right now. And this is what I'm doing. I don't know. I've always wanted that, never been able to find it. So I'm here now saying, I see light at the end of the tunnel. I have a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. I have a lot of confidence that, this business that I'm building is going to carry me a very long way. My astrology backs that up. I've had psychic readings that back that up, and my own intuition backs that up. So do I have proof? Absolutely not. I don't. Hopefully one day I will. And I guess down the road, we'll look back and I can look at this podcast and be like, let's see how it played out. And for the record, not everybody around me believes that what I'm building will carry me, that what I'm building will be enough to support myself and my kids and that will take me really far in life. There's certainly people in my life that are close to me that are like, what you're doing is cool, but you need to be realistic and you need a real job and you need blah, blah, blah. And I am here to say, I hear those people, but I am truly standing in my own power, in my own authenticity, in my own faith and saying, I know where I'm headed. I know that I am building something that is going to go far and I'm going to commit to this. And so it's really just me choosing to have faith before I have proof. And so I do that with people in my life. I have to do that with myself often. I have to check myself often and remind myself that I have faith, remind myself that I know good things are coming, because it does get hard at times, right? This has been an insane year in my life, right? I separated from my ex-husband. I moved out of my house. I am co-parenting with my ex. I'm living with my parents currently. Like, there is a lot of turmoil. Like, this year has completely upended my life. And yet, I know good things are coming. And I don't believe it's years away either. I believe that good things are coming quite soon. And that's risky to say that, right? Because I have no proof. I have no proof to sit here and tell you, but I want to, because I've just craved that for so long. I want to be that person for someone else, to say, here's what my life looks like now in the mess, and let's manifest things together. Like, I will support you in your dreams and what you're doing. You support me, and we'll just encourage each other and see where life goes. But that piece of having faith, that piece of tuning into your own intuition is so important, because if I listen to all the outside voices, right, and I listen to all of the doubts and the be realistic and the real world this and the real world that, it would tear down my faith. It would tear down what I am trying to build. And that mindset would not allow me to build what I'm trying to build. Is it hard? Yes, but it's important. And I think other people need to hear this too. So again, I started talking about it, but there's two parts to this, right? The first part is just understanding astrology. You don't have to be an astrologer. You just need to know just enough. You can use ChatGPT. You can go online and find like free access to your birth charts. You can look at all your placement. You can buy books, do what you need to do. There's free YouTube courses on astrology. There's all sorts of things. Or you can just pay an astrologer to look at your birth chart and tell you, from there. But that's the first part, is kind of knowing at least the basics of astrology, what your chart looks like, what the current planetary placements look like, and how that is affecting you this year, next year, the year beyond that. The second part of it is you and your own intuition, because the second part of it is what you do with the energy. So you can understand and look at your chart and see what's coming. Again, you can get help with that. You can pay somebody to help you with that. You can ChatGPT it. You can read a book, whatever. The second part, though, is what am I going to do with the open door? Or what am I going to do with the energy that's being presented to me? Because if the energy presenting to you is encouraging you, again, to work on a scarcity mindset, to work on your relationships, to cut certain people out of your life, to be more bold, to step into your authenticities, to step into your voice, to step into your gifts, whatever it is, if the energy is presenting you with something and you deny it, or you fight it, you resist it, then the door won't ever fully open, because you didn't take the steps. You didn't walk forward towards the door. Does that make sense? And so one, it's knowing what is coming through the astrology. And two, it's you and your intuition and sensing, this is what I need to work on. So whether you tune into your own intuition, whether you're manifesting, whether you're trying to communicate with your guides, with your higher self, or even your future self. I have done this. And let me tell you, when you're really feeling hopeless, and you just need some encouragement, sometimes your spirit guides, your higher self, communicating with source directly with God, it's like sometimes those messages or those encouragements, that information comes through. It's almost like it's too wise. You know what I mean? Like, it's so non-human, maybe is a better way to say it, because it's so divine. It's so like beyond the scope of a human. And sometimes I just want to be like, damn it, somebody freaking speak to me the way that I would speak to me. Like, tell me the date that this is going to happen, right? Nobody will ever tell you dates, because time is fluid and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tune into my future self on the timeline that I'm on. And I want to hear what I would say to myself, what I would encourage myself with, because I know that I will speak to directly what I want to hear and encourage me exactly in the way that I know how. And so just the other day, I did a manifestation. I did a meditation where I did this, and I walked through, and I've practiced manifestation. Gosh, why can't I talk? I have practiced deep diving with meditation. I've done, quantum hypnosis, where I've tuned into past lives. I have a lot of practice doing this, okay? So if it's not easy to do at first, it may just be something you kind of have to practice towards. But I did a meditation. I tuned into my future self. And without going into details, let me tell you, that was one of the most encouraging things that I have done in a very long time. And I wish that I had done it a very long time ago, because like I said, talking to yourself is much more human And it's kind of like getting a peek into, I want to know from my human self, like what's coming down the line. How would my human self describe it, knowing what's coming, versus kind of this higher mind, this more divine, this non-human kind of explanation where it's almost like that communication is much more vague. That communication is much more like almost like abstract. Like the communication that I get from my higher self or from source or from my guides is always more, I don't even know how to explain. It's just more abstract. It's more like a college professor instead of like my girlfriend that I'm talking to on the couch. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dang it, I just want to hear, I want to hear what my friend says about this, because she'll explain it in a way that really resonates with me. And that's exactly what I got. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. But I wanted to mention, I do have a course. It's called Sensitive to Psychic, where I teach how to tune in to your intuition in the way that you work best. So whether you are somebody who really gets good visuals, like clairvoyance, or whether you're somebody with good claircognizance, like you really just get that understanding, whatever it is for you, I have a course where I walk through step by step by step how to build this confidence and embody the energetic state where you can really tune in, because there's so much more to it than like just meditate or just close your eyes. It's a process. Like anything is a process, but like anybody can be a psychic. Anybody can tune into these gifts. Anybody can communicate with spirit, with your guides, with your future self, with anybody can do it. Anybody can remote view, all of the things. However, it's not an overnight process, and it's not as easy as just closing your eyes and manifesting. There's a lot of energy work that goes into it. There's a lot of emotional learning and growing that goes into it. And so, like I said, I built a course that walks you through knowing nothing to literally you could be your own psychic if you wanted to at the end of it. So that's always linked in the show notes, but that is relevant here because if you ignore your intuition, if you ignore the subtle signs about what the universe is trying to tell you that you need to work on in that season, when the astrological door opens, you won't be able to move through it. You won't be able to move through the door unless you have done all the work, unless you have prepped the stage underneath prior. Does that make sense? And a lot of times this happens naturally, which is why we can manifest things sometimes accidentally without, knowing all of this and without trying, because the universe, based on that energy, is going to nudge you in that direction. You're going to feel nudged. You're going to feel nudged to heal certain things. You're going to feel nudged to let certain people out of your life. You're going to feel intuitively guided towards the things that you need to do or work on. But the more you know, the less likely you are to miss it. The better you are tuned into your intuition, the more likely you are to do that work really, really well, so that when the time comes and when the door opens, it's like you are home free. Everything aligns perfectly. Your manifestations come in really strong and really clear, and you can keep them. They're not going to, disappear right away. You're not going to fumble them. So if you want to manifest like the best possible outcome for your situation, if you want to manifest things that will actually stay and anchor into your life long term, it's important that you know what's going on and that you prep everything before the door opens. Because it is possible to miss the door. It is possible to miss the timing because you didn't prep, you didn't do the prep work. And so when the energy comes and the door opens, you don't take advantage because you weren't ready and you weren't even aware that you needed to be ready. And then you try to manifest things without all of this knowledge, without this understanding, and you're frustrated and you're burned out and nothing is working and you feel like manifestation just doesn't work. And why does nothing ever work out for me? And why is it so hard for me? Understanding these concepts gives you so much more power and control over your life because you understand the timing and you understand what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So the lesson here is that astrology overrides manifestation. Manifestation is like the ticket and astrology is the train. I could come up with so many metaphors here. Also, I wish you guys could see when I get really passionate about a topic. I talk with my hands a lot, so I'm always talking with my hands, but like, you guys can't see this, but behind the microphone, I'm like literally waving my arms in the air while I'm like yelling at you about this topic, because that's what happens when I get passionate and I'm like really putting a lot of emphasis on something. But again, I am walking through this with you. I have not arrived. I have not created the abundance. I have not created I've created a career, but not to the point where I'm like can sustain it and, be on my own with my kids yet. But I know and I have faith that that is coming. And I'm talking to you from the middle, from the mess, saying, this is what I'm building. This is what I'm working on. I have faith in this, and I'm doing it without proof, right? I'm taking the spiritual, non-realistic, quote unquote real world path. Now, granted, I'm very lucky. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that. But again, speaking of opportunities, I saw an opportunity. I was like, you know what? This time is insane, but like right now, I have an opportunity. I have my beautiful, wonderful parents who allow me to live here. And I'm like, you know what? I have an opportunity right now to pour everything into this business. Let's take it. Let's take this opportunity. Let's put our faith here and let's see what happens. And I can be excited because I know my astrology and I know what's coming and I know the seasons that I'm moving into. And that gives me a lot of hope and a lot of faith, and it makes me really excited. I don't have proof. We'll see what happens. I'm going to learn right along with you guys, but I hope that this is encouraging if you also have not arrived yet. If you are building something, if you are waiting for something, if you are manifesting something that has not arrived, but you still have faith and you're working towards it, I'm with you and I see you. And I hope that this episode gives you, some understanding and some things to work with. Because as you're waiting, as it feels like things are being delayed, because believe me, I've shed a lot of tears feeling like everything is delayed and nothing is moving and why is it so slow and blah, blah, blah. Okay? It's not a punishment. I'm saying this to myself too. It's not a punishment. The delay, the waiting, the patience, it's an opportunity to continue prepping your work so that when the door opens, when it is your turn, it goes that much better. You want to be healed. You want to grow. You want to align while you're waiting on the door to open. So when it opens, it's beautiful. It works out exactly as you want, and it sticks long term. So I will link in the show notes a website for you to go get your free birth chart for free if you have not looked at your birth chart, so that you can kind of get an idea. And I like to take a screenshot of mine and just so that I have it to reference it. And then I can go research and go look up, like, what does this placement mean? Like, what does it mean for a planet to be in this house and in this sign? Like, what does that mean for me in my life? So that really helps. Again, there's a link also for my favorite spiritual tools at the very bottom of the show notes. You can look at that if you want to see books and items that I recommend. Again, my course, Sensitive to Psychic, where you really, really deep dive into learning how to tap into your intuition and how to develop your psychic senses. It is like a launching pad for you starting a spiritual journey where you really have so much more control and you have so much more insight into your life. It'll change your life. Not me, but having this information that is in the course will change your life. Okay, this episode is getting a little bit long. Don't forget to leave a review. It really, really makes a big difference for the podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate it so much. Thank you again for being here. I love you guys. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.